Welcome everybody to John Ski Writes. I'm your host John Ski, and today we are here shooting live from the Banff and Macduff, or Macduff and Banff War Memorial. I'm going to start the book review off by answering the question from the last video and setting the question for this video. So the last question was, what is your favourite location? And after some deliberation, I decided mine was the Great Hall, because there's so many great scenes there from book one to the very end. There's, the stand he makes against Severus Snape in the final book, which we'll get to obviously later. Ooh, spoilers, there's a standoff there. There's, the sorting gets taken there with the sorting hat. There's where they get put into their houses. There's the Remembrall, there's the Howler. So many great scenes. He gets his broomstick delivered there. So there's so many great scenes, and I just think the Great Hall for me is the best. It's magical. The ceiling's obviously all bewitched to make it look like a night sky, but it's actually all fake. So the Great Hall, best location in the Harry Potter series. And the new question is, what is your favourite non-human creature in the Harry Potter series? So the last two Harry Potter reviews were absolutely, well, they were really long compared to my normal videos. So I'm going to try and shorten this down here. So we're going to quickly go through the books. And from now on, we're not going to spend too much time going through every single little detail. It's a book review, so I'm going to try and make it shorter and just review the general book as opposed to every single thing, because otherwise you're going to be watching videos for hours or not watching them all because they just bore you and I put you to sleep. So this book starts with Harry Potter, again, waiting to go to Hogwarts. He's at the Dursleys, and this summer they have a visit towards the end from their aunt. That takes an ugly turn when Marge, Vernon's sister, Aunt Marge, says some nasty things about Harry's parents continually, and eventually he just snaps and he blows her up, basically, not in like a firework. He blows her up as in she balloons up. So he ends up on the night bus, he's hungry, he's a cannibal. He meets Stan Spike, I can't get the name out now, you know who I mean, and Ern is it, I think, and he ends up going to the League Cauldron where he's met by Cornelius Fudge. He thinks he's going to get in trouble, so he pretends he's Neville Longbottom and hopes that Neville's formidable nan never finds out. And he gets there and they're like, I thought somebody expelled. No, dear, we don't expel people for blowing up their aunt, and have a room here, but be safe, blah, blah, blah. And basically there's a massive criminal on the loose. Even the Muggle world know about it, Sirius Black, but Harry doesn't know anything about him. He just knows he's a criminal, he escaped from Azkaban prison. So over the summer, Ron's family won some prize, I can't remember what it was, and they won loads of money. They went to Egypt to visit Bill, who is out working there for Gringotts as a curse breaker. Long story short, they get all their stuff in Diagon Alley while they're there, and the Weasley's obviously there, Hermione's there, and Hermione buys this cat called Crookshanks, who turns out to be a very intelligent cat, and her and Ron argue all the way through the book about the cat and Scabbers the rat. So Hogwarts then, this year there are Dementors everywhere, guarding because of the escaped prisoner, and he's very deadly. Apparently he was Lord Voldemort's, or one of Lord Voldemort's deadliest followers. So there's Dementors sort of all around Hogwarts this year, guarding the place. And on the train there, Harry has an unfortunate incident where he passes out when he hears the Dementors coming into the carriage, and the teacher asleep in the corner turns out to be Professor Lupin, who's one of my favourite characters in this book. In fact, Professor Lupin is probably my favourite character in this book. He's fantastic. He's their teacher. He's friends with Harry's parents. He's also a werewolf, and he's fantastic. He really is. I think he's a great character. I think one of my favourite characters. He's up there with Dobby, and he's up there with Hagrid. He is one of my favourite characters in the whole series. He's fantastic. I've said that about 3 times now, but he is fantastic. And we're not even talking about the Fantastic Beasts, we're talking about Harry Potter. But he is brilliant, and he gives Harry some chocolate, and then when they get to Hogwarts, I think it's McGonagall says, finally we have a teacher who understands, remedies for dark arts. Oh no, Madame Pomfrey says, I think Madame Pomfrey says that actually. I think McGonagall says it in the film. Yeah, McGonagall says it in the film, but I think Madame Pomfrey says it in the book. So, yeah. So as they go on then, he learns how to fight the Dementors from Professor Lupin because they affect him at his first Quidditch match of the season, where he falls off, and it's the first Quidditch match he's actually played in where he loses to one Cedric Diggory, who is in this book for the first time, or he's mentioned in this book for the first time, along with Cho Chang. And Harry finally starts to notice girls now in his 3rd year. He starts to notice Cho Chang. I think she's a year older than him. She's a Ravenclaw. Cedric Diggory's a Hufflepuff. And so yeah, he loses his first match to them, and I think they have a match later on in the thing against Cho as well, Ravenclaw. He wins that game after he's sort of learnt how to fight the Dementors from Lupin with the Expecto Patronum charm. So at the start of this book then, there's two new characters, or sorry, two new teachers, one new character, but there is a new teacher, two new teachers, and Professor Lupin, who met on the train, is the Defence Against the Dark Arts teacher for this year. Again, they only last 1 year, they all last for 1 year. And Hagrid is actually promoted, as well as Gamekeeper, to Care of Magical Creatures teacher, because the teacher from the year before, can't think of the name, retired, so they could spend more time with their remaining limbs, as I think Dumbledore says in a speech. Everyone thinks that Sirius Black has escaped from Azkaban prison to kill Harry Potter. Harry eventually finds out by overhearing something under his invisibility cloak when he sneaks into Hogsmeade, which he's not meant to be in, because Fred and George give him the Marauder's map, and you tap it and you go, "I solemnly swear I'm up to no good," and it comes alive and it shows you all the people in the castle, where they're moving and stuff. You see Dumbledore pacing back and forth, which apparently he does quite a lot. So in Hagrid's class, I think it's his first lesson, they're introduced to Buckbeak and a load of hippogriffs. Mate, my words cannot come out today, they're worse than any other video I've done, I think. Hippogriffs, and Malfoy does what he's not told to do and aggravates it and annoys it, and it scratches him, he makes a big deal out of it, and then they end up getting Buckbeak sentenced to death. There is a hearing and an appeal, but Lucius Malfoy's decided it's dying. It's basically dying because everyone fears him and does what he wants, a little bitch. It turns out towards the end of the book that Hermione's been going to about 44 classes this year, like 6 or 7 of them all at one time. That's an exaggeration, but you get my drift. And turns out she's been using what's called a time turner to get to all the classes, which McGonagall gives her. They're not meant to be used, but they made an exception for her from the Ministry because she's such an acceptable student and is a bookworm and wants to do more classes than most students ever do. So she's been using time turner, so that's what they actually use at the end. So Buckbeak's sentenced to death, and then we're just basically going to skip most of the school year and just get to it. It's a school year like every other year, but I want to make this video short for you guys and girls, so it's not a snooze fest and you actually watch about Harry Potter. Harry, having lost the first game because of the Dementors, wins the second game, so then they have to win the third game and hope other results go their way, which they do, which means the Quidditch Cup can be theirs if they win their last game, which he eventually does win. Then when they play that game, they get around to it, they win that game, but they have to win it by so many points, so you have to wait for Gryffindor to be so many points ahead. However, Sirius Black, who's apparently escaped to kill Harry Potter, which he finds out when he's in Hogsmeade sneaking in, as I say, under the cloak, overhears that he was their friend, he was their secret keeper, so he was the only person who knew where they were hiding. That's what the whole world thinks. He was the only person who knew where Harry's parents were hiding, and oh, look at my big bald head. He was the only person who knew where they were hiding, and he told Voldemort, and he killed them. Turns out not to be true, but we don't know it at this point. At this point, Sirius Black is the big bad. He gets into the school, he scratches up the Fat Lady's painting, which is the entrance to the Gryffindor tower. It gets in again at one other point, and yeah, so after they sneak down to be there for Hagrid when Buckbeak gets executed, he tells them to leave. They leave, and as they're leaving, they see Buckbeak getting beheaded, and they off. And as they're about to go off, they get attacked by this dog, basically, and Crookshanks is there, and Scabbers is acting really weird. He'd got lost in the book and he'd blamed Hermione. He said that Crookshanks had eaten him, and it turns out he was alive. The cat, I think, goes for Scabbers, or Scabbers bites Ron's finger and runs loose. He manages to get hold of him, I think, and then the dog, who turns out Sirius Black, is an animagus. He's a dog, and he can transform into a dog. That's how he's been getting around, sneaking around without people seeing him. He was just never registered at the Ministry, and he cakes Ron, grabs him by the arm or the leg, snatches him in through the Whomping Willow, which turns out to be a secret hideout that goes all the way to the Shrieking Shack, which is the most haunted building apparently in the wizarding world, and that's in Hogsmeade. And Harry and Hermione want to follow, but the Whomping Willow starts attacking them and chunking at them. Anyway, Crookshanks is there, and Crookshanks jumps on the knot, keeps the tree still, then runs through into the shack. They follow, they get in there, and they find Sirius Black's there, and Ron's like, "No, Harry, it's a trap, it's him, rah, rah, rah. It's Sirius Black." And it turns out the dog is Sirius Black. Harry attacks him physically. He's got his wand to his throat, I think, and he's like, "Go on then, do it, I dare," or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact text. Yeah, and then Lupin comes in and sort of stops it and's like, let him explain. They try to tell him that Sirius is innocent because Ron has seen something. Because Professor Lupin has seen something on the map. Peter Pettigrew is alive. How could that be? Sirius killed him, he murdered him. Witnesses saw it, he murdered half a street just to cover up his tracks. And then he went to Azkaban. Turns out it's a lie. Turns out he's actually also an animagus, and he transformed and framed Sirius because he was working for Voldemort, and the Potters changed their secret keeper at the last minute, and he was their secret keeper, and yeah, it turns out Sirius is innocent. However, Harry and Arthur doesn't believe him, so they make the rat transform, Turns out he's missing a little claw bit, and oh yeah, shock horror. Paw, is it? Sorry, paw. Missing a paw bit, and shock horror. Only thing that was left of Pettigrew was a toe, so it must be. They make him transform, and it happens to come out, and they're all shocked, and you know, what the hell. And then Severus Snape turns up, and Severus Snape, being Severus Snape, is an idiot. Considering he's one of the smartest wizards in the whole series, he is one of the most intelligent, he fools everyone basically. He is an idiot at this stage. Well, all through the whole school year, he went to school with Harry's parents, and he went to school with Sirius, and he went to school with Remus. They're all friends of Harry Potter's dad, which is James. And he got bullied, and then they tried to pull a prank on him, which would have killed Sirius, which would have killed Severus. And Harry's dad stopped him, so saved his life effectively. And he hates that about him. And scrap what I just said. Severus turns up before they make him transform, and Harry thinks he believes them, so he stuns Snape, or they all sort of stun Snape. Harry and Hermione stun him at the same time, and then they undo the Pettigrew bit and they make him turn into a human. And they want to kill him, and Harry says, "No, stop, don't." He goes, "But Harry," he's like, "I know what he done, but we're going to give him to the Dementors. My dad wouldn't want his two best friends to turn into killers." And then turns out, obviously as well through the book, that Sirius is Harry's godfather. And he offers Harry a place to live, unless he wants to stay with the Dursleys. Harry jumps at the chance, gets all excited. And then, once they're all back onto the grounds under the Whomping Willow, unfortunately, Remus Lupin has not taken his potion, because he has been doing this whole thing in a shrieking shack with all of them. And so he turns into a werewolf. So Sirius stops him and sort of chases him down, they go off fighting. Snape wakes up, and Snape being Snape, as usual, gets the wrong end of the stick. And tells everyone at the school that he's a genius. He has stopped Sirius Black after the Dementors basically go down, and they're going to perform the kiss on him and basically suck out his soul. They don't kill him, they leave you alive, but they leave you completely with no soul, which is just horrendous. And so yeah, Harry goes running down there, and he actually manages to save it, although he doesn't realise it at the moment. He manages to get attacked by Dementors as well, and he passes out and wakes up in hospital wing, and Snape is there with Cornelius Fudge. Harry, Ron and Hermione try to tell Cornelius Fudge and that they are the truth basically about Sirius and Pettigrew. But Pettigrew's run off in this whole melee, and Snape's not heard and seen all of it. He just heard part of the story and jumped to the wrong conclusion. 2 and 2 to him make 7. Dumbledore comes in, he believes them, and he says, but unfortunately the word of a couple of underage wizards won't carry further than this, so you're gonna have to do something about it. He locks them in, he leaves, he says 3 turns should do it to Hermione, and Harry's like, what the hell? You know, Ron's obviously injured, so they're about to perform the kiss on Sirius Black. They're going to kill him. He's up in the tower, and they have to save him. And Dumbledore says, if we do it right or something, then we can save more than one innocent life tonight. So I gave up because of the wind and the cold the other day. I'm sitting outside again, but now I'm just sitting outside on a swing, hence the rocking video. So as Ron is kind of laid up in hospital, Harry and Hermione go use a time turner and go back in time, and they rush down to Hagrid's hut when they work out, where were we at this time? Rah, rah. They rush down to Hagrid's hut, and obviously they realise that it's saving Buckbeak, so they save Buckbeak, they set it free, and once the Ministry officials have seen it, they set it free. So Buckbeak lives, they hide it in the forest, and then they just wait basically until they see themselves re-emerging from the Whomping Willow. And Harry fights off the urge to go and attack Pettigrew, because Hermione says, no, you'll go mad if you see yourself, blah, blah, don't mess with time. And then they watch the whole thing, and there's the bit again where Sirius is having his soul sucked out by a Dementor, and obviously Harry's also having his soul sucked out by a Dementor, and Harry's like, my dad's going to come, because I saw my dad, Hermione, he was one that saved us, I swear it was. And they're like, don't be silly, your dad's dead. He's like, I know, but I saw my dad. And then Harry realises that it wasn't his dad he saw, it was himself. So without thinking, he just jumps down, does the Patronus charm, saves them both. Then obviously Snape takes them up to the castle. And so then once Sirius is up in the top tower, they give it time and they sneak off and they release him, and him and Buckbeak fly off to freedom. And obviously Cornelius Fudge and all that are like upset because he's got away, but they've done what Dumbledore has asked. They've managed to save Sirius, save Buckbeak, 2 innocent people who shouldn't be killed or put back in prison, have their soul sucked out. So only Dumbledore, Ron, Harry and Hermione know the real truth. Not even Hagrid knows the truth about Buckbeak. He's just happy Buckbeak's clever and flew away, clever hippogriff. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the book. I'm not going to go into too much more detail about it than that. I don't want the video to drag on like the other ones have done. People always say then that obviously the books and films are completely different. Generally, obviously, they follow the same story, but there are big differences. And I think The Goblet of Fire, which is the next book review, that one actually has the most differences between the book and the film. So I think I've got a cool idea for the next book review, which is coming next week. And I'm going to do like a quick review of the book again, like this one, and then I'm actually going to go through like the main differences between the book and the film. But back to The Prisoner of Azkaban then. So the main reason that I actually love this book so much is because of the plot twist at the end. I love a good plot twist. It was fantastic that he was hiding in plain sight all this time as a rat and no one knew. So I think the book's great. It's a great ending to it, great twist. So I haven't got the book with me, so we're going to pretend that this is the Prisoner of Azkaban book. Okay, this is a substitute. This is actually my notes, and you can kind of see here, this is what I use for the book. These are my only notes I use for the thing, and I just wing it. So yeah, that's why I miss things out and I go on about things I shouldn't do, because that is literally my notes. Yeah, that. Hardly anything. That's what I use for the videos. So we're going to pretend this is the book then for a second, and we're going to say that this is now time for the Azkaban rating. So Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, I'm going to give it the rating of Azkabantastic. Yes, not a real word, I made it up, but then again the other ratings were a bit dumb as well, but I think they're funny, so we're going to go with it. So Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is Azkabantastic. So go out and read the book if you haven't done before. Obviously read the first and second one first, then the third one, and then head on to Goblet of Fire, which I've just finished, and the book review for that, as I say, comes next week. Now, I have actually got some news. When I started filming this the other day in the cold, I didn't actually have this, but I now do. So I have spoken to the publisher recently, and I am actually allowed to now do a book cover reveal, which is fantastic. So I've been planning that the last day or two in between the first part of this video and the second part. So yeah, I am going to do that soon. It's going to be coming over 3 videos. I'm going to try and do a Friday, a bonus one on a Wednesday, and then a Friday again. So 7 days you're going to do, and I'm going to do like a really, really cool, well, I'm hoping you guys think it's cool, really, really release video for it. Just think catchphrase. That's the clue I'm going to give you, catchphrase.